フルカウンター
Collab characters will never last, they'll be meta for a month and then never used again. Welcome back, boys, to another Grand Cross video. So recently I was on Reddit scrolling past and seeing what the actual new opinions are on the new collaboration. Now this was posted yesterday, so granted we didn't really get to see hands-on gameplay, so people's opinions may have actually changed here. But there was a poll that was posted on the Reddit that gave people's opinions on people what voted for. Personally, I'm disappointed with the collaboration and choice and lack of story, but if you like the show, I'm happy for you. So this brings up the question. The story mode cutscenes, I understand, it's a problem, right? It's always annoying when Netmarble removes content that we already had in the game. The story cutscenes were kind of a cool thing that we got to experience in Grand Cross with the other collaborations. They stopped doing it with Shield Hero, and that point that kind of confirmed to us, and honestly with the pattern and the lack of effort that's been going into a lot of these recent updates in Grand Cross, I actually expected not to get a story chapter, so I wasn't disappointed because my expectations were already low. But generally speaking, who actually cares? Like, I know it's a nice thing, right, to get, but most of the time we just care about the units and how good they are and how good they look, right? But this poll right here is very mixed, I would say. If anything, people don't really care about, which is crazy because I would have thought MUSHOKU TENSEI was just insanely popular. I know about it just through obviously hearing about it in the anime community. I think it did win Anime of the Year or like got nominated for it. I don't know, but like it's from what I've heard about it, it was a popular anime, and while watching, I do actually enjoy it too. So I'm kind of surprised there's so much hate towards it, but I guess it could be towards the characters' kits. But I think now that we've seen them in gameplay, they actually are pretty good, right? But I saw this comment and I kind of want to be giving about it because people right now are getting into the game or about to summon this new collaboration, and people have like the wrong interpretation of collabs, and that is this right here. So bro collars or collabs never last, they'll be meta for at least a month and then never used again. And I think this kind of comes from Nagato too. But Nagato made a tweet which was released on the actual live stream, so we didn't really get the hands-on gameplay. I'm sure his opinion's probably changed here, but he's got a point, to be fair, don't get me wrong. Listen, if you do what you want, but if I'm being honest, people don't like the truth. Please spend $500 to 6x all these units for at least freedom to remain in your box, never used again in a month. So this is probably once again quoting Nagato a little bit here. Ignore my comment, I was trolling here. I was kind of copying what Murray said. And as a collab connoisseur, I have a different opinion, and honestly, I think this is more or less true, but I don't think this is exclusive towards collab characters. And if you go back and look at the actual list of like recent characters, generally speaking, only the festivals remain on top because those are festivals, what you expect, right? But generally, I think a lot of the characters that come out are either not even usable on release, which is definitely not the case for collab characters. At least in the collab character situations, they are somewhat decent or good on release, and then over time they fade out. But then again, some of them and a lot of them do last a pretty long time. But also, I think people are too fixated on the meta and what meta actually means. Generally speaking, you can actually get Champion 1, which is the highest rank in the game, or even Challenger, using off-meta characters. I done it with basically Rem and Ram, who aren't even meta anymore. You rather use Nanishi and rather use any other DPS, but you can get a pretty high rank using these off-meta characters as long as you build them up, which I know is a hard thing to do for free-to-plays, but we're kind of ignoring that point right now. But Rudeus came out, was trash on release and not being used now. New Wings King was, what, good for 2 weeks and then was irrelevant afterwards. Freya was good for literally, what, 1 week, and then her rule left and now she's not usable anymore. Mono wasn't good. Grima was good, but he got nerfed, obviously. Escanor and Pugmelly, obviously the big bad boys, they're going to be at the top, obviously. Going down to, obviously, Raptalia and Nafumi. Raptalia and Philo as well. Philo's still meta. You just don't see the unknown teams, and I get into that in a second. That's because they're more restricted towards collaborations, and not that many people use them because you have to whale for them. But the whales who actually get them whaled out typically like to use the meta characters, and at that point they're no longer meta, so they will stop using them, and the free players can't use them because you haven't maxed them out, so the free players then move on to someone else. So you're kind of in that middle ground of having like a casual person or someone who's actually maxed them out still using them. And obviously as well, Escanor and Pugmelly, you rather use those, right? Even though sometimes my Philo still wrecks all those characters basically. Also as well, the Shield Hero team, although you don't see it too much because they nerfed obviously Green more, but they still have the opportunity to get a massive buff with Blue Escanor, who has a relic literally ready for this team. And yeah, they're still really good, man. They're so underrated. Like if you use them right now, you can get Champion 1. Like they're actually such underrated team. Probably a bit worse now that Ghislaine's out because she's actually kind of meta, I think so, and she can kind of start on the tier 1, and she's green as well. So if anything, they may have been nerfed now. But this comment right now, that was only Shiratori. Once again, they're still not meta, but they are a pretty good team. People underestimate them. Like I said, you're not going to have the Wells using them because what's the point? But generally, I could use this team right now and get Champion 1, probably even a Challenger. It's not a bad team, especially not good for free-to-plays, but you are meant to start second, which is good because you don't have to actually max out cosmetics or even get them fully welled out. You don't even need them 6-6. My Raptalia's 1-6. It will be godly if she was 6-6. Reinhardt lasted months. Reinhardt lasted basically up until Ultimate Escanor. That's when he got basically got killed here. But you got to remember, Reinhardt was a DPS character. DPSs typically don't last a long time, especially for humans, obviously. And the fact he was a mono red buffer, but you never know. We get more human buffs in the future, like we get Sigurd Barn. Reinhardt might see some more play, although I doubt it. You'd probably rather use Rudy now. But Echidna, and I'm pretty sure I said in my video, Echidna's going to last a very long time. And this comment kind of annoyed me a little bit. No collab character is meta now. Are you mad? Bro, this is the third best team in the game. Like, genuinely, Echidna lasted so long. You gotta remember, she has Infect. She is gonna be a stable character for unknowns, the base stat buffs, also Infect, good AoE damage, good, obviously, a pair with, obviously, Merlin. Like, Echidna, and I said it in my video months ago when she first got released, she is gonna last a long time, and she's still meta right now. Obviously, well, meta in terms of, like, you know, the top 3 teams, basically, because, like, this team can destroy. Like, I haven't lost to a male team yet. Like, generally, these destroy goddesses don't do too well against Pug Melee, but to be fair, with obviously Ghislaine coming out, putting Ghislaine right here as well, it's going to make her really, really good, and actually be somewhat of a good counter towards obviously Chandler's, the Demon team, and obviously just killing Pug Melee, who's obviously going to have the highest CC. Also, we do go back, Rimuru, although the character has fallen off a little bit, obviously, he's definitely still usable right now. Not meta, but you can definitely still use him once again, get Champion 1, the highest rank in the game, get Challenger. He's actually gotten even better now that obviously the goddess are out. With the demons, he was just absolutely dead because there was no way to buff up, really, so you really couldn't get your buffs, but yeah, if you use him right now against the goddesses, like, you're absolutely slaying him. I will say the part 2 towards King of Fighters was absolute L. Iori was bad on release. Terry was actually broken. Probably one of the best collab characters on release. But he fell off quick as well. So fair point there. But I will say, if we go back to when King of Fighters came out, King of Fighters, or more or less Kyo in particular, came out September 2020. And he was, I don't think he was used too much, right? But until he returned, basically 1 year later, he was actually getting a lot of play. He actually became more relevant than he ever was around the time of, obviously, this era right here, when we actually got Purgatory Barn. People realized Kyo was a really good character. And obviously when he got, like, he was broken and meta for so long, to the point he had to release 2 characters to counter him, Elet and Skadi, which they kind of did that, but like no one summoned for them. And then I believe it was around like the Queen Diana era, even on to Tamio, you kind of start seeing less and less of him. But the fact that there is 2 characters to counter him back to back shows how meta they are. And once again, you can't really say that for a lot of the 600 down banners. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to tell you to must some of these characters because they're going to be meta for a long time. But generally, these characters do last a bit longer. Obviously, if you are free to play and you can't really max them out, get them 6-6, then it's going to be a little bit challenging. And you probably will end up falling off quicker because you obviously can't max out the stats. And at that point, you'd probably be better use like someone like, obviously, Ultimate Escanor when he drops at 1-6, you just come pretty better. But let's talk about Rudeus right now. Rudeus is a DPS character that is kind of carrying the human team right now because there's literally no human bosses, right? But look, once again, going back to my Echidna thing, like, call this literally when she came out. She's still meta now and been meta for a very long time for all unknowns because you can't, the infect is so important. So to see Rudeus with an effect, meta, like, this guy is going to be a staple for human teams. Bear in mind, we are going to get him some big humans later on, like obviously Sacred Treasure Bun, which might be the JP anniversary, and at that point I can see Rudeus being an absolutely godly character for him because once again, Mayel's life steal and his actual recovery is so high. If you can't kill him in 1 turn, he's going to heal back everything that you just dealt to him. So infect is important. Also, I think the way Rudeus is designed is actually pretty good. What he does do is every time you use a skill, he is going to buff up, and after he gets 5 buffs, he can do 1 massive attack, like something similar towards obviously Purgatory Mediotis. He does a massive release, right? People are kind of downplaying that right now. That's because they're using him as the main DPS character. They're using him as like doing all the damage. But once again, like I said, when we get Signature Bomb, we get Chaos Arthur, you're gonna be human buffers, especially Arthur, Chaos Arthur. His literal whole purpose in this story is to obviously be the superior race for humans. So he has to buff up humans. And if he comes out and he's like the main DPS on the team, I should imagine, he is obviously going to do most of the work. But then on turn 2, after you buff up Rudeus 5 times, he's going to do 1 mega attack and probably like one-shot someone. So Rudeus, I do think, has longevity, mainly because there aren't that many humans left in the story mode. There are some for 4 nights, and to be fair, there are a lot in the story. It's just Netmob was probably not going to do them. So the only ones I can see coming is Escanor, Barn, and Chaos Alpha. That's probably it. Eris, lol, free to play, who cares? Roxy, I believe, will fall off quite hard. Honestly, I think she might be a bit of a niche thing, and depending on what the meta actually is, she may see some play. So, for example, if she was out before we got Mayel and unknown attacks her team was running rampant, then honestly, I think she actually would be a pretty broken character with that team. Even now, she might be usable with that team, right? If you like go for Summer Merlin and her, it might be really, really good. But she's gonna be a bit of a gimmicky character, a bit niche as well. May see some play, but you know, we have to wait and see what other characters come out to make her better if that does happen. But then we get Ghislaine, and I'm saying this from day one. She is going to be meta for a long, long time. She is a DPS character right now, but I think you should go and watch Sora's video where Sora uses more of her as a tank character, and you got to remember what she's doing, and this is going to make her last a long time and probably meta for a long time too, is that she always marks the highest CC character, which typically means you're going to be marking the newest festival character, the new grand festival like Perk Millie, Mayel, Ultimate Escanor, Sega Treasure Bar when he comes out probably. And attack rate stat lower is going to make it so they're doing less damage. She's going to make it so they take more damage, so they're easy to kill. Like, she is hunting all the new festival characters coming out. Anyone that comes out in the future, she's going to be like, yeah, okay, you're done. I'm going to target you straight away and start a match and kill you. Also, with the counter stance is, like, it's going to make her so good as well on a tier 1. Any character comes out, there's literally no way to protect that marked target unless they bring a buff character as a taunt, like Green Diane, basically. But even still, even if she does fall off and her damage isn't great, the taunt factor alone is going to always taunt the new festival character. And if they have full single targets or not even that many AoEs or big AoE skills, right, then it's going to be hard for them to get to the other two unknown characters, which we may see more in the future as well, which would be better. So I think that wraps up my point. Do collab characters last a long time? Yes, I think they do. Obviously, for a lot of people, they're not going to, because obviously you're going to get better characters, which I think will be a fair argument. But to say that no collab characters meta is just wrong. Echidna's still broken. Don't get me wrong, there are times where collab characters just suck, but you can kind of tell when they're going to last long. Like, 11 was not great on release. We knew she wasn't going to last long, but I feel like Ghislaine, and especially if Rudeus has so much potential in the future, it's going to be crazy to see. So, boys, that is all. Once again, I'll make my shit you summon later on, but I'm not really telling you to summon. But I just want to talk about it because I think people have the wrong perception on collaborations. Because generally speaking, only festivals last long. But even then, sometimes they don't even last long too. It's just the nature of the game. Look at Harlequin, right? Adult Wing King. He lasted a month and he was dead. After Trade Medi came out, he was done basically. Characters typically don't last long. Obviously, you can tell someone like Esterosa, who's more of a DPS on release, but then became a natural support character with the basic stats. So, my takeaway is support characters last longer where DPSs don't. Alright, boys, so to wrap up the video, because I just finished editing it, let me just quickly say, I'm not saying collab banners are must summons or the best banners in the game. Actually, they're probably nearly one of the worst, especially when they are new and not a part 2. But the banners have really bad rates. Also, as well, it's very hard to get them, because you only have 2 weeks to get them fully maxed out, and you have to buy the cosmetics as well. So there's a lot to invest into, and the time and money and gems you would have spent on this banner, you probably could have put all that into next anniversary character, or next anniversary banner, and probably be in an infinitely better place. But the big thing about collaborations is that they're typically fun characters, and you're summoning more importantly because of who they actually are. So for those who actually want to summon, don't feel bad about it. I think they are pretty worth it, especially if you want them and like them. Once again, the best thing you can do in Grand Cross is have fun. Don't always chase the meta, or you can somewhat still use off meta characters and still do very decent in the game as long as you build them up, which I know is hard to do for collabs. I get that, but once again, my point is they do last a long time if you do invest into them. So yeah, it's gonna wrap up the video. Let me know what you think, and yeah, peace.